the night. I am Batman.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
On hat. Wax off.
I know Kung Fu.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
They're here.
Warriors, come out to play.
I ate his liver.
What we call drugs is selling Full Street Baptist Church. We call us sin.
Well, around here, between Normandy and Weston, we call this here a little twin. Wow. Nigga.
Why so serious?
Welcome back to the Why So Serious podcast. Devin and Brandon are back for another episode, and this week we have two of our favorite guests. We have Kevin and Tachi from the TV Channel podcast. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, I am so excited to be. This is my first time on the show, so I
Yes.
think this is Tachi's second.
Tachi
Yes.
was on alone last time, so now she's got another person to gang up on us with. So
Okay.
we'll see whose side she falls on in the debate.
Oh, well, I already know which side she's gonna fall on, and it won't be mine.
You're damn straight. Damn straight. You know me well.
So, yes, so those of you know, Tachi's been on before, and she's on the TV Channel podcast. We were on their podcast as well. So what's been going on with the show? How's everything going? Any new shows you've been watching? Anything you like a lot? Talk to us.
Oh gosh, there's so much going on, and Kevin will expand upon that. But I just really have to. We were really excited because we just recorded an episode with somebody really high profile, and we're like super excited about this person. Is a producer for a lot of reality shows that So it was a lot of fun, and we can't wait for that episode to drop. So that's happened, Kevin.
Okay, let's see. We just did a news show where we talked about, I think, a lot of things we're going to talk about today. So if you want to hear me talk in depth about Jussie Smollet on multiple shows, then this is your week.
I'm warning you, gentlemen, that this is going to be an interesting conversation. So just letting you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
shockingly, it turns
about
out
it.
that we have opinions.
Oh no, we want those opinions. So, so you're trying to tell you're trying to tell our audience and us that you guys talked to Mona Scott. Is that what you're trying to say?
No,
we did
wasn't
not.
Mona
But
Scott.
it was. We were actually talking. We talked to somebody who's Mona Scott adjacent.
Yes,
okay.
Mona Scott
okay.
adjacent.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
yes.
When we say produce, Tachi actually basically didn't tell the whole thing. As far as in, we talked. She said somebody who produces a lot of reality shows, practically all. You
Yeah,
can't
he's
name a
worked on
major reality
everything.
show that this man has not been a part
Okay.
of.
Look at the teaser.
and
You guys
we
are teasing real
basically-
good.
We had him on lock for almost 2 hours,
Yes.
and we did a top 5. We did our top 5 reality shows of all time. Plus, we interviewed him, and he went in shockingly on a lot of stuff, and it got kind of contentious, which I was like stunned because it's like, wait, I guess I'm asking some of the wrong questions. But I think it definitely made for an excellent podcast. So that will be dropping next week.
So,
Yes.
what was you and Tachi's favorite reality show?
Oh gosh, there was so much crossover. This is the thing. It's like it was so funny because when you listen to the episode, you'll hear how much crossover there was. But I want you to listen because I want you to be
Okay.
surprised.
Okay, I have a feeling though. I have a gut feeling.
Yeah, no,
Really?
you know what? There are lots of surprises. I was surprised by everybody's picks, and when you really start thinking about it, because the line of what a reality show actually is, because when I started looking up just a list of them, because I'm thinking like, am I forgetting something? And I was looking at a list, and I'm like, wait a minute, I wouldn't consider that. A lot of these game show type things are considered reality shows, and I was
Oh,
even
really?
arguing
Yeah.
with our guest about like, no, American Idol is not a reality show. It's
is,
like,
it really
yeah,
is,
they're
though. Yeah.
as people are standing on the stage, like holding hands, going like, I hope you don't get eliminated, Christy, and then they hug. That is not a reality show. If we go back and people are sequestered and we're filming them crying backstage and like making out, then it becomes a reality show. Top Chef, I would say, is a reality show. It's a competition, but we follow them around. They're sequestered,
see.
And part of the whole thing about having people sequestered means you have nobody to talk to but each other.
Well, see, here's the thing. That's why there's a broad. It is reality, and I was looking at the I couldn't see him, but I was looking like, how you gonna tell a reality show producer what reality is? That's what I was looking like, Kevin.
That's
but
really
but the thing is, reality is so broad. So it does include game shows. It does include competition shows. It does include the news is reality too.
Does it include pro wrestling?
Well, the funny thing is, I actually do. I don't care if you are a reality show producer extraordinaire, which this man absolutely is, but you can't convince me that Jeopardy is a reality show.
Hell no.
No, that's not a reality show.
Reality, see, you all are thinking about reality too narrowly. Reality just means real. A game show, whether it's scripted or not, is real.
Wait, Tachi. So under that logic, a football game is a reality show.
It absolutely is.
Get out of here.
No.
Get out of here.
Wait, is the evening news a reality show as well?
Yes. Reality is very broad. You all. This is what I teach now.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
reality is extremely broad. So we've come to know reality in a very narrow sense, and that narrow sense has come to characterize what reality is. But if we're looking at it, yes, the news is absolutely considered reality. If these people are playing themselves, listen, if these people are playing themselves, when you look at the list of characters and everybody is playing themselves, it's reality.
Are you serious? Are you seriously saying that my favorite reality show can be 60 Minutes?
That is what she just said. She just said that.
Okay, all right. See, we're already having controversy already.
See, you might have changed the list. You might have to change the list.
That's why he's arguing.
You might have to add Price is Right to the top of the list.
And those prices are not real.
Those prices are not real. That is a fact.
Manufacturer suggested price. Yeah.
Lord.
Okay, so yeah, definitely everybody go subscribe to that show. What are some of your shows? What are some of the shows in 2019 that you guys have liked?
Well, okay, I'm going to give you guys some behind-the-scenes drama when it comes to the making of TV channeling. TV channeling after dark. All right, we were supposed to be reviewing The Umbrella Society.
Oh, yeah, I heard that was great.
One of the TV twins watched multiple episodes, took copious notes, wrote an incredible synopsis, and summed it all up in a brilliant fashion, only to find out when we start to record the show, it's like, wait, I didn't watch The Umbrella Society. And so, yeah. So
Which means that one of the TV twins was not quite clear as to what the assignment was.
I don't know how much clearer you can be than saying we're going to review Umbrella Society. I didn't know how much more clarity I could give.
We didn't say, well, you see how people throw you under the bus?
I'm pretty sure I know which is which. I figured that out.
I figured it out too. I'm not a genius.
I know which is which on this one.
So, well, the thing is, I have not watched Umbrella Society yet. That's something that I'm going to catch up on since Mr. Kevin was not clear as to the assignment. However, we did watch Russian Doll.
Oh, I was going to start that this weekend.
How is it? Is it worth it?
You know what? I would say watch it. It's dark. It is very dark.
Yeah, I heard it was.
It is very dark, and it's like to the point where sometimes I'm like, oh, Dad, I can't see this happen again. But so it hits you over the head over and over and over. It's a dark Groundhog Day.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Have you watched The Passage?
Yes. We reviewed The Passage.
Oh, you reviewed The Passage. See, I must have missed that one. I need to watch The Passage. I hear a lot of people talking to that.
I mean, it's
about
Zach
that
Morris, so
but I am completely in empathy. I completely have empathy for Kevin because I just went through that. So we're doing this thing where we're going back and watching old terrible movies and reviewing them. So we've already done like Green Lantern. We did the Fantastic Four. And then
Which version of Fantastic Four?
The Chris Evans one.
Oh, okay.
And so we are supposed to watch the Fantastic Four, and we all get on the show, the Fantastic Four, and then Devin's on there, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't watch this." And I'm like,
"Why are you here?"
Fantastic
too.
Yeah. Why are you here if you didn't watch it?
I was just gonna talk shit like I've seen it before. I've never even seen that movie before, so.
What? You empathize with Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
May thunder rip you in two.
To be fair, there was a big panel of people, and I was in Dallas for training, so I really didn't have everything I needed.
Well, first of all, thank
Exactly.
you for sympathizing and identifying with the injured party, which makes you a good person.
That's right.
Injury.
That's right. I'm a good person. And this month, by the way, we're doing a versus Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat.
Pray for us. Pray for us.
Yeah. Okay,
Really?
that actually sounds fun. I look forward to hearing that episode.
That does. That sounds amazing.
We watched Street Fighter yesterday, and when I tell you, oh God, it's gonna be brutal. We are definitely gonna tear these movies apart. Jean-Claude Van Damme had a knot on his head the whole fucking movie. The whole movie.
Well, actually, what I wish you guys had done was Fantastic Four versus Fantastic Four, because we have the Fantastic Four, the most recent one with Michael B. Jordan.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I can rewatch
versus
that.
the original movie Fantastic Four would have been a really good head-to-head. Like, which one is more horrible?
The second one is the reboot is definitely more horrible.
Definitely more.
Really?
Oh
Is it
yes,
more terrible than okay.
It's not even watchable.
Yeah, landslide victory for.
And the one we watched was terrible.
Wow.
But yeah, Street Fighter was horrible. So yeah, we got that coming up, and then after this show, we're actually recording a podcast reviewing Abducted in Plain Sight from Netflix, which was wild.
The funny thing is, I'm actually afraid to watch that because multiple people have asked me about that, and I'm afraid to watch it because I'm thinking anytime I go out anywhere, I'll be like, wait a minute, is that kid being abducted?
Oh no, it's not. It's not like
No,
that.
no,
No.
Okay,
When it
'cause I
says
wasn't
abducted in
sure.
plain sight, it's literally a lady's neighbor. Just, it's so crazy. It's some of the worst parents you've ever seen in your entire life. Like, literally some of the worst parents you've ever seen. I'll give you a quick, little thing, not to spoil. I mean, it's not to spoil, but there's a point in the
Don't
film.
worry, I'm not gonna watch it anyway. So
There's a point in the film where the girl gets abducted and she's gone for like 30 days with this guy that they know. FBI, all that stuff's called. She comes back. They find her. They come back from Mexico. And after that, the mother of the girl that was dating, the mother of the girl that got abducted went and had sex with the guy who abducted their daughter on purpose.
Wait, she didn't accidentally have sex with
No, it wasn't like sexual assault, like she got raped. Like she
Okay.
wanted to go have sex with this man willingly afterwards.
on purpose. What was that supposed to be?
It
I'll
gets
show
better.
you.
It gets
I'll
better,
have
though.
sex.
It gets better.
What was that for?
Because she was in love with him, in a way.
God of heaven.
It's a crazy story. It's ridiculous.
But then to type it off, right? Then the husband.
No, save that for the show. They don't want to know that.
No,
They
no,
don't
no,
wanna know
no,
that.
no. You can't teach that. Wait.
They don't want to
Please
know
don't tell
that.
me the husband also had sex with him. What happened?
You would be correct.
Sort of. Yes.
Whoa!
Okay. See,
Sexual
now
act.
this is a show I don't want to see because Kevin knows I hate stupidity in characters.
Oh, well,
I
it's
can't
in spades.
stand
It's
stupid
spades.
charactars.
Wait,
But
is
here's
this
the thing,
Is this a documentary?
Yeah,
or
this is a
actually real?
documentary.
This is
Yes,
real
this is a
life.
documentary.
In real life, people actually went and had sex with the person who abducted their child.
Well, he gave him a hand job in the car.
Oh my
Yeah.
You can't see my face, but
god! I can't.
So check that out. Check that out.
And then, yeah, so we're going to talk about that after this show. But yeah. And and then
You
she
should have had us on that. We should have been on that episode.
and then
Why
she
are we-
got abducted again
By the same
by the
person.
same person.
by the same person.
Yes.
You know
Okay,
what?
now is she actually being abducted, or is because apparently this man is very charming? Is he?
It's
is
a
she
whole-
being abducted
it's
as
a
well, or
it's-
is she willingly going off with him?
I mean, she's like 12, like 11 or 12 years old, and he's like 40.
Yes, but she doesn't have the right to consent. She can't.
Where
No.
were the authorities during all
They-
this? This is
parents.
brilliant
It's the
to know.
parents.
It's the
It's crazy. If you ever get a chance to watch it on Netflix, it's ridiculous. It is a ridiculous documentary.
Wow.
All right, so yeah, so that was cool.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
can I add one thing that I've seen before we get
Oh
into
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay. Have you seen the documentary Fire?
Oh,
on
yes.
Netflix?
Yes.
Yes.
I saw that.
We wanted to talk about that on the show too. We watched both of them. Well, I watched both of them.
Okay, you saw the Hulu one and the Netflix one.
Yes.
I don't have Hulu. I'm not paying for Hulu, so I stuck with Netflix. So I was floored because, I had followed this and I had talked about it on my other show
Mhm.
at length. when it happened initially 2 years ago. And then, but reading reports and reading articles about it is so much different from hearing accounts of people that were on the ground, people that were involved with the organization, and seeing the footage.
Right.
I was just like floored.
Oh, it's wild. Did you watch it, Kevin?
No, I did not see it, but I have heard so much news about one particular gentleman who was willing to go above and beyond. There are people that are thirsty, and he's all like, "Put me in, coach." And I was
he
like,
had to do his part. He was just trying to do his part.
Look, my man was he was excited for that. I'm convinced. He was excited to do that act.
Ready to join the team.
By the way, my man's getting. Did you know he's getting his own TV show?
I heard that, but I'm thinking like, what could that show possibly
be about? So his show is going to be about the behind the scenes of events, like what it takes.
Wow, really behind the scenes?
Yeah, really.
Oh, wait, this guy is getting his own TV
show?
show?
Yes.
The scammer.
No, not the scammer. The
one that was willing to go above and beyond.
Oh.
Yes, he's getting his own TV show. It's going to be about.
He needs his own TV show.
It's going to be NC-17. What is it?
Exactly? See, that's a great question. I think it's going to be on Netflix actually, and it's going to be about like It's going to be about what it takes to put on an event, and like it's basically he says it's going to be like a reality show. Where it's basically like,
we just found out that everything is a reality show. Yeah. So yeah.
Yes. And he was like, it's basically going to be like, is he going to, like, are we going to, you know how you watch a show like HGTV and it's like, oh, this thing just fell in. Are we going to be able to make the renovation by this time or something like that? It's going to basically be like, are we going to be able to get this event going on? Like that type of reality show.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's getting a show. So he's definitely flipped this into something.
Well, he probably didn't get paid everything he was supposed to from the Fire Festival, so he needs some kind of deal.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah, I needed clarification on exactly how much he was paid, because again, the ability or the desire to go above and beyond. Again, like how much are they paying you?
Oh, he's trying to get that money. He was trying to get that money anyway.
Yeah, well, he wasn't getting none of that money. He was just getting water for the people.
Wow, we should actually nominate him for president, because that is above and beyond.
Yeah, that is power right there. $175,000.
A lot of people let people go very, very thirsty. Like, well, I'm sorry, people. Hope for rain. Do a rain dance, somebody.
Yeah, not me. But yeah, that was an interesting doc. But Abducted in Plain Sight is even more ridiculous than that, and that was ridiculous. Those Fire Festival documentaries. Wow. All right, so I wanted to talk to Kevin and Tachi about the Oscars, which is this weekend, and see what they're looking forward to and some of their picks. So let's start at the top. Best Picture, we have Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star is Born, and Vice. Have you all seen most of those films or any of those films?
All I have seen in that list is Black Panther.
You didn't see Black Klansman? Oh,
wait, you saw Black Panther? Good for you.
Yeah, I saw Black Panther. I haven't seen anything else on the list.
Wow.
I saw Black Klansman. I saw Black Panther.
Wait, so you only watch movies with the word black in the title?
Mm-hmm. Damn straight.
That's what's going on here.
That's it. That's about it. Yeah, I haven't seen the rest of them yet.
Vice was great.
Although Roma is on Netflix.
Yes.
So I do want to see Roma. And if we're asking about picks, that probably will get Best Picture.
It's great.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen it. Is it in a different language?
No.
Yes. I do not enjoy reading a film, so that's the reason why I haven't seen it.
Good for you.
No, it's good. Bohemian Rhapsody should not be there. That movie was not good.
It's just because of the transformation of Rami Malek.
Yeah, Rami Malek was amazing. He deserves the lead actor nomination, but that film was a mess. Like that film was a complete mess. It didn't go into any depth. It didn't really explore anyone. They never had any arguments. Every character in there was benevolent except one dude that like supposedly like brainwashed Freddie. It's just It's basically the Queen members, surviving Queen members, had way too much input on the film, and they basically just made themselves look great and didn't explore anything. And it's not really about Queen; it's about Freddie Mercury, but it doesn't go into any depth about Freddie Mercury. So,
Well, also, didn't the movie have two directors?
yeah, Bryan Singer just left in the middle of the film, just up and left.
Did did he leave or was he fired?
He left this one.
Okay.
Red Sonja is not coming out, and that was supposed to be his next film, and they are like, "No, we're not doing this with you, buddy. Not after those allegations."
But now, no, don't. That's you're being a little generous about how dirtbaggy these people were. They were supporting him literally like until 15 minutes ago,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
finally they were shamed into
Yeah.
into cutting him from
Basically.
the project.
Exactly.
After like 800, after it was revealed he's been sleeping with like 800 teenage boys for God knows how many years.
But the funny thing is, people knew about these rumbles with Bryan Singer for a long time. Nothing. This isn't new stuff. I mean, I guess it's new to the details, but there's been rumors about this for a while now. At least I've known about it for a while.
No, sadly, all the Me Too allegations against all the big people that have come out, everybody in the business has known. I mean, there were jokes about oh my God, who's the original?
Harvey Weinstein.
They were jokes on award shows about Harvey Weinstein, about the fact that he was a perv and that you had to put out to basically be in a movie with of his. So people have known this. People knew about Kevin Spacey, about how much of a dirtbag he was. But as long as you were making money for us, we will look the other way.
Didn't care. So I enjoyed Vice. Out of that, like Vice was
really good. I enjoyed
it. That movie was great.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah. If you get a chance to see that, you should go see Vice.
Definitely.
It's pretty good. It's really good. And like Christian Bale, essentially, he turns into Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney.
Literally turns into Dick Cheney. So it is incredible.
Sam Rockwell is really good.
I mean, Sam Rockwell was all right, but
he was good. I mean,
he got okay. But we'll get to that. But he got a Best Supporting Actor nomination, and he absolutely didn't deserve it from that film.
No.
Steve Carell was incredible as Donald Rumsfeld. Just absolutely incredible.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Steve Carell had a really strong movie season.
He was unbelievable as Donald Rumsfeld. But the reason why that film is really great is because they don't sugarcoat it. So they don't make it seem like, oh, it's just this thing. It's like, no, these guys were villains. Rumsfeld, Cheney, like all of them, they were like real life villains. And it basically shows like what they went through to bring all this executive power to that office. It's absurd.
And what really you leave the movie with is like, yo, this man really impacted the history we have. Like, you leave that like, damn, like one man can make a change. Like, and he fucked us, and it really you can really show the movie shows that.
Yeah, it doesn't hide from any of that at all, which is really good. Stars Born, I enjoyed that. I thought Bradley Cooper was great. He was actually singing in the film, which was to my surprise. Oh, that's another thing with Bohemian Rhapsody. No one sings at all at any point in the film. It's all, they just play the songs. So like they'll be in the studio and like, working on the song, but instead of like the actors singing the songs, they just play the song. Like, and have them lip sync it. So it's very weird when you watch that. Black Klansman was really enjoyable and it's funny. Actually, it's actually a lot of fun.
Really fun.
It gets serious too, but it's actually a lot of fun. I did not see The Favorite. That's the only one I haven't seen on that list.
I heard that was delightful. People love that. Like I heard a lot of friends that saw.
But I heard that was great. Lead actor, you got Christian Bale from Vice, Bradley Cooper, A Star Is Born, William Dafoe from At Eternity's Gate, Rami Malek from Bohemian Rhapsody, and Viggo Mortensen from Green Book. I like Rami Malek for that one. Interesting thing with William Dafoe, he was in Aquaman, completely wasted. Did you guys see Aquaman?
Did not see Aquaman.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Neither did I.
Excellent
Again,
decision.
if I had only known what we were going to be discussing during this broadcast.
Oh,
Which is your own fault. Your own fault because you didn't check your email.
You weren't going to get to all these anyway. It's not a big deal.
No, don't defend him.
I'm defending him.
I'm here for you, Kevin. I'm here for you.
Email.
Oh, so if I got the show notes literally an hour before the show, I would have been able to see multiple movies? Really?
Okay, how about this? Did you all see If Beale Street Could Talk?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's still out, so I want to go see it.
It is still out.
Well, I will be seeing it after Regina King wins for Best Supporting Actress because she's got that on lock. It's gonna
Yes.
happen. So
She was great.
I will eventually see it.
Yeah, Emma Stone I heard was really good in The Favorite, but yeah, Regina King was fantastic. By the way, Regina King and another lady in that film could both get it because they both were really good. But yeah, that film is super emotional, but it's interesting because when we talked about this in our review, most of the time when you see films about like racism or racist acts that happen to people, it's more like black torture porn where they just show like all this bad stuff happening to black people. Whereas in this film, they show a lot of the happy times too. So they make sure to show the happy times and the sad times, which was really good. So if you get a chance to see that film, definitely see that film. But yeah, I just wanted to get some of your opinions on some of those things. But yeah, of course, you didn't guys get to all those films, and there's a lot of films, so I don't blame you. Trust me.
Well, I thought that when you talked about discussing the Oscars, I thought we were going to talk about the controversy of the Academy announcing that they were going to be removing several awards from the televised event. They'd be awarded during commercial
breaks. And then
breaks.
they brought them back.
And then they're all like, we were kidding. Crazy, because I was telling Tachi, it's like, no, 4 was too little. There's so many awards. That show is so long. And there's so many awards. There's so many awards that, I'm sorry, nobody but people in the business care about.
Yeah, nobody wants to see these things.
When was the last time somebody said to you, oh my God, who did the sound mixing in this movie? It was so good. We need to go see every movie that guy does sound mixing on. Nobody. So those kinds of awards need to be awarded at the other event. There is another technical Oscars where they give out other awards about technology and behind the scenes kind of stuff. Because honestly, when that award show, if they put me in charge, would be done with a quickness. Who is the best actor, best actress, supporting actress, best screenplay, best adapted screenplay, and best animated film, best song, best score, best director,
and then best
picture, and we're gone. Mm-hmm. Good night.
First of all, take it off the air. Put it all online. And people are tired of it.
People show up for the Oscars. Like, I show up for the end of the Oscars essentially just for Twitter, honestly. Like, I just get on there to see what people are saying on Twitter, to see all the people who didn't watch any of the movies complain about who won or who didn't win, which that's always interesting to me because I see, like, so many movies a year. And it's always interesting. You can tell on Twitter, like, who watched the movies, who didn't watch the movies. Because, like, I remember, like, this year, I guarantee you, there's going to be a lot of people on Twitter who are going to be, if Black Panther's not going to win, but
no,
and it shouldn't win. It's a great movie, but it shouldn't win. It's not better than a couple of those other films.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's going to. I already know, especially in the space that I operate on Twitter, there's going to be a bunch of people when Black Panther doesn't win. They're going to go, they don't like Black Panther. It should have won, and it's going to be all. And I'm just going to laugh because that's really funny to me.
Well, I'm sorry. Those are also people who don't understand film, and they don't understand that usually superhero movies don't get nominated anyway.
Right.
So they don't understand the way it works. And I'm not saying necessarily that that's right, but in a superhero movie, the emphasis is on action and the superhero and less on the story. In my opinion, Black Panther to me actually has a very compelling story, but it is still a superhero movie.
Correct.
And I mean, for that reason, it's not going to get Best Picture. I would love for that to happen, but it's not going to.
It's not better than Black Klansman to me.
No. Yeah, but it's not better. Well, Beale Street Talk should have been nominated. It got snubbed. But here's the thing. If I like I said this, and I see some other people say this, if Bohemian Rhapsody can get nominated, Black Panther can also be nominated. Because that film is much better than Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, in every way. With the exception of, like, there's no one in Black Panther that was as good as Rami Malek. Like, that was a really standout performance. But the rest of the cast is completely unforgettable. Like, they're pointless. There's no character development with anyone except Freddie Mercury in that film. And it's not even just a good film. Like, much less Best Picture. Like, I think we gave it on our review a 6 out of 10. Or something like that.
Wow.
5.5 out of 10. It's just not a good film. And I was really looking forward to it. And it's worth seeing because Rami Malek is so great. but it's not a good film. Like if you're going to watch a good movie, it's not a good movie. All right, we do this thing recently where we talk about the week on Twitter because I'm a big Twitter person. I'm always on there. And so I like to bring to the show like 3 of the biggest topics in the past week that I saw in my little Twitter bubble of a few thousand followers. And the first one was I want to talk about is there's a new R. Kelly sex tape out apparently that these news organizations have and other people have, and a lot of people are saying that like there's going to be some charges brought down. He's going to be indicted soon. So is this when we finally get him out the paint?
Well, I have no idea because I don't understand how he skated for the first videotape that we all saw him having sex with a child. So
He said it wasn't him.
What kind of Johnny Cochran magic kept him out of jail for that?
And here's the thing: it's people should have known back then, but that was 2008. We are in 2019. There's no way that there's another tape out here that he's not thrown under the jail. Like there's just it can't be. This can't happen. And especially out of that documentary. Did you guys watch Surviving R. Kelly?
I didn't watch all of it, but I did see some of it.
My mom told me about it, and that was it. My mom was watching it, and I saw approximately 2 minutes of it. I think his brother was talking, and I tapped out because guess what? I already knew he was this kind of person. So
yeah, there was no new news.
Right. That's why I was like, I don't need to hear anything that I already confirmed.
Well, to me and like people like us, when we're aware of that stuff, it wasn't new news. But I think to like the general public, like I think the general public knew about R. Kelly and the sex tape, but I don't think the general public knew that he's basically running a sex cult like right now.
Correct.
Like I don't think people were aware of those things because the things I was reading was like, oh, I didn't know this or I didn't know that. And I'm like, I mean, I knew it, but yeah, I can guess how that could be surprising to some people.
But what about the Aaliyah thing? I never understood how the Aaliyah thing went down.
Yeah, how do you get out
I was listening to another podcast and he was talking about, he was like, that was basically like our parents' generation letting our generation down because people who were in their 30s and 40s and older in the mid 90s, they knew that was wrong, right? But they didn't say anything about
People
it.
getting their pockets lined.
It was that thing where, she's fast, she's, blah, 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 blah. And they just let it slide. Because when you look at it now, like when you actually look at it now, you're like, she's like 14 years old. Like, what is going on here? This is disgusting.
Oh, well, I can tell you what's going on. Kevin already knows what I'm going to say. Black women don't matter, even to our own community. And so we, to a fault, will defend Black people, but particularly Black men. We will defend them regardless of what wrong they do. So the big thing is not to look like big bad Negroes in front of the general public.
Correct.
So if something is going on in our community, regardless of how diabolical it is, we will, well, don't say anything because we don't want him to get in trouble, or we will protect to a fault, to the detriment of young girls and young boys who have been affected by this type of behavior. And it's absolutely disgusting. So the thing that the reason it's even being thought about now is because of, one, partially, Me Too doesn't really apply to Black people, even though it was started by a Black woman. When we think of Me Too, that's not what we think about. But part of the whole atmosphere of Me Too, that's one thing. And then number two, the sheer numbers of people who have come out to say something about R. Kelly in a public forum in terms of the documentary, that's another thing. Now you can't deny. Now you have to start to listen.
Yeah, the Mute R. Kelly movement.
One at a time. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
one of the speaking of the Mute R. Kelly movement, I was saying during our last episode, the thing when Taraji P. Henson posted that thing about that video about like, wait a minute, why isn't there a Mute Harvey Weinstein campaign? Like, this is a Black thing. I could not believe it.
Because we defend our community to a fault. It is the same thing when Bill Cosby, they're like,
we defend straight Black men to a fault. It's this thing where
yes, that's true.
Straight Black men want this idea. They don't want full equality. They basically want
They want to be
white
white
men.
men.
Yeah,
They want to be white
yeah.
men.
So
They want to be the oppressor as opposed to being
so
the
it's
oppressed.
just
But they
yeah,
don't want
exactly.
equality for black women.
No, so
You know
when
what I couldn't believe? Can I say one quick thing?
no go
What I couldn't believe was Chance the Rapper in front of a camera, not a secret hidden camera, boom mic, crew, said that, well, he didn't believe the R. Kelly allegations because they were coming from black women.
yeah.
I was like, wait,
What?
my guess is you had a black mother,
No, no,
right?
no, no. Okay, that quote was taken a little bit out of context, from what I understand. Because Jamila Lemieux, the person who did the interview, was talking about that quote, and I think what he was, according to her, and she was doing the interview, what he was saying was he was looking back, he was doing revisionist history, which is, I mean, it's not, this doesn't make it any better, but it makes it a little bit better. He was saying that in 2008, 19 or 18, whenever he was doing the interview, he was looking back at himself at 2008, and he was saying that the 2008 version of him probably didn't like it because he had a problem with black women, is what he was saying. He was like, if you get what I'm trying to say, he was wrong, but he was saying that like, now I'm looking.
He was 2008 wrong, but today he's cool with black women. I
No,
guess is what you're.
yeah, what he was trying to say was I was fucked up like so many black men, and I had this disdain for black women back then, and I might not have admitted it, but that's why I didn't believe it. Is what
No,
he, yeah,
no, it's amazing that he's willing to admit that, but the fact that that was even an issue, I
right,
don't even understand how that was even an issue.
because people don't
Even
value
back in
black women.
2008.
I mean, they don't do it
Do
now.
I have to say again? We're not valued. We are not valued, and it's ad nauseum at this point, and it just gets tiring. It really is. And that's one reason that I couldn't sit down and watch the documentary,
If you
because
think,
it just.
oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Tati.
Sorry.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just gonna say it just really hits home how lack of value what the lack of value is on you as an individual in this society. So you get tired of seeing that all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
if you
No,
look
but
back,
what to me the important thing is that it's going to take women are going to have to lead. So it's like I think that sadly, I think that black women are going to have to work on purging themselves of the internalized misogyny and get that out because I need, if nothing else, if men aren't going to stand with women, women have to stand with other women.
yeah, but it doesn't
That
matter.
always seems really rough when they don't.
But people don't listen to women either way, so it's really not going to make a difference. It's just like the civil rights movement, essentially, in a similar analogy. Like black people can cry about racism all they want, but until there's some white people who are sympathetic for black people, that's the only time something's going to change, no matter how much you want it to change. Think about this: the erasure of black women. People, when they talk about the Bill Cosby, right? There's a bunch of black men who go, "Oh, it's just white women who want to take the man down. There's
God
these
of
white
heavens.
women who are lying on him." But there were a ton of victims that were black women. They just erased them, like just
Yeah, oh yeah, Beverly Johnson.
they just
Beverly Johnson.
yeah, they're just completely erased out of the equation. It's essentially these white women are lying on Bill Cosby because they want to take him down, completely ignoring the black women that were affected and abused by Bill Cosby. And because to them they don't matter. It's just like whatever. It doesn't matter.
And
And
also the lunacy of that whole thing about Bill Cosby was it's like, wait, so now is when they come for Bill Cosby? They want to come for Bill Cosby in the late 2000s,
Now, they've been trying to
the
get him,
2000 of the teens. It's just ridiculous. The man was at his height of his power in the 80s, so that was the time to try and take him down. The idea that there's somebody like itching to bring down Bill
oh
Cosby
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, because he was trying to buy NBC. Don't forget that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so
People
yeah,
really
so
believe
hopefully
that
R.
shit, too.
Kelly is going to get taken down like the rest of these dudes need to. Jussie Smollett. So yeah, so I didn't say anything about this on social media because I was like, there's a lot going on here, and I'm just not going to jump in on this at all because I don't know where this is going to go. And so the most recent things that have come out is apparently there's leaks that are saying that he paid these two brothers to commit this act against him for what reason? No one knows yet. but they even said that they had a receipt of for the rope that was used to choke him, and it was with the name of one of the people of those brothers. So, yeah, go ahead, Kevin. Or Tachi.
Okay.
So I don't even know what to say about this.
All right.
Because you can see he is itching.
Oh my God. All right. You just let me out the gate. All right. So there have been problems with this from jump. I have another podcast where we talked about this, and my co-hosts were like, "It's too early to discuss." I'm like, "No, it's not," because there were things that were fishy right off the bat. So there are death threats sent to to Fox about Jussie Smollett threatening to kill him. Fox was like, "We think these are credible threats, so we're going to pay for security to follow you around." And he's all like, "No, I'm good." So that's one thing. You're just a badass. You don't care if somebody's trying to kill you. So what's the smart thing to do after that? Oh, I don't know. Go get a sandwich around 2:30 in the morning by yourself, walking the streets while people are trying to kill you. And then when they do try to kill you and you're all shocked and they're yelling MAGA at you, then when the police are like, "Oh, well, having access to your cell phone might help us catch these people who, yelled homophobic and racist things at you." And he's like, "Oh, you can't have my phone." "Well, can we have phone records to try?" "No, I'll get back to you." Then he gives them redacted phone records.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was fishy literally from the day this story came out. It did not sound right.
And even to this day, here's people, they still denying all of this. But I do remember that his official, I did see someone leaked, or the statement that he gave to the police. He never said anything about the MAGA hats. That was just something that was somebody added editorially, which is interesting. So to me, this whole thing was weird from the beginning because I don't know who to trust in this situation. Like, I'm not trusting the Chicago PD. I'm not trusting them. And then also, this situation sounds fishy to begin with. So I don't know. I didn't know who to trust. Tachi, what was your take on all of this?
Yeah, so initially when I hear about it, it's like, okay, you hope he's okay. But then when details started to unfold, and let me preface this by saying, I hope to high heaven that this is not some sort of hoax. Let me just preface it by saying that. However, I got the same feeling inside. Remember when that white woman, Susan
I know what you're going to say.
Yes. When Susan Smith, she drowned her kids in the car and said that it was a black man who did it. And then you saw the composite and it was like a caricature and the black man had on a lumberjack shirt. Guess what? Black people don't wear lumberjack shirts. So that's when I knew right away she's lying, when that description was a caricature. I got that same feeling after I heard this story. And I don't want him to be lying. I'm hoping because this means so much more for people of color and LGBT people if he is lying or if this is an elaborate hoax. Because then when we are telling the truth and we are crying about our pain, we're seen as crying wolf. They already don't want to believe us about our pain. Mm-hmm. So don't give them a reason really not to believe.
Right.
Well, there's another issue with this. Okay, so are we supposed to believe now that these brothers are lying for what? What would they be lying for in implicating him? Because they're still saying that they had something to do with this in implicating him. And the other thing that makes this whole thing fall down is this. Initially, Jussie Smollett's people were saying that he did not know them. He didn't know nothing about them. He's following one of them on social media.
Right. They worked on the show.
And we're on the show. Another coincidence, and also his personal trainer, one of them. So all of that shows a lot. And the idea that his attackers were supposed to be white. There is no mistaking that these gentlemen are white. I don't care how dark that alley was. Or whatever, that he wasn't sure about their ethnicity, because he said that his attackers were white.
He did.
And also another weird thing that never made sense was the idea that, okay, your attackers they happen to be They threaten you. They happen to be following you, and they just happen to have bleach with them. They had bleach. They had the rope just ready.
Yeah, the only thing about this that I can find plausible is that they're lying to save themselves. That's it. But even that seems a little far fetched at this point. But I could imagine if I did that and I said, "Oh, I didn't, I wasn't trying to hurt the guy. We just did it because he paid us to do it." Like they could get that away, but it seems so obvious. You can follow a money trail. If they're this stupid, if he was stupid enough to buy the rope with a credit card, then I can't imagine that a money trail is not somewhere here. So
Is it sad that I don't really care?
no, I mean at this.
Well, no. The reason why
I'm
I
out.
care is because of what this is ultimately going to do. The idea, this story, sadly, is a Fox News wet dream come
Yeah,
true.
I mean it's already been there. Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean,
him just handing them that on a silver platter disgusts me. And like what Tachi said, I want to say this too. God, I hope I am wrong. If it turns out by some twist of fate that this is all true, I will be thrilled to not have this be something that they can basically throw in our face. And the next time somebody gets attacked or whatever, that they can bring this up, because this will be brought up forever.
Well, let me tell you why. And when I say don't care, I'm not saying that I don't care that he got attacked or allegedly attacked or whatever the case is. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that how many problems are there in Chicago, on the streets of Chicago, that this now has taken so much shine for it? You know how many people get killed in Chicago all the time and nothing is done? So, because this guy is on Empire, and again, I understand what the implications are. So say this was a real thing, obviously that would be terrible to be added in with all the other terrible things that happen in Chicago. It should not be a huge thing because it's Jussie Smollett.
Well, what made it a huge thing isn't just the fact that it's Jussie Smollett. It was the trigger thing of saying that they were yelling as he was being assaulted. That like, this is MAGA country. That is what put it over the top. That was what brought it into the political sphere.
And I understand
as opposed to just a straight hate sphere.
And that's also what made people think it was fake from the beginning. Like in the beginning, I'm never going to be that guy where I hear somebody say something happened to him and I just immediately think it's fake, because I think that's problematic. But to the people that were like that, that was it. It was like, this seems, because a lot of people are like, yeah, I can see some racist, homophobic Trump supporter like attacking someone. I mean, because we've seen hate crimes rise since Trump has been in office. But the way it was described in the initial reporting of this was like every check mark on the racism attack. It was like the noose, the MAGA hat, like white,
the bleach,
like the bleach, like it was like every checkpoint.
What
so
is
people,
the bleach for? Am I the only person that not knowing what the bleach is for? What's the bleach?
Well,
for?
the idea is that basically that to make him like white, the whole idea of bleaching you, that this is MAGA country. Another thing, there's a lot of places that could be considered MAGA country. Chicago is not one of those places. So if he was attacked in Nebraska or something, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I believe that. But no, in Chicago, and the fact that he would even take the time to say this is MAGA country, all of it doesn't make sense. And again, when him saying that he didn't know these guys, but these attackers, and then it being proven that he was following them on social media and actually worked with them, you can make the argument, people are making the argument, just because they were extras or whatever on the show doesn't mean he knew them. But the coincidence that he just happened to be following one on social media, and one apparently was training him for a music video, and the idea that they would be lying by saving themselves by claiming that he asked us to attack him is still saying that you were involved in this situation. Yeah. So I don't believe that they are lying. And the fact that at least if you're going to pay people, that's another thing, Jesse, if you're going to pay people to stage a racist attack, pay some white people. Yeah, why would you pay two black men to attack you in your so-called racist attack? And another thing, and I'm almost done, is the idea that coincidentally, you happen to be attacked. There are cameras everywhere when you walk on the streets. He happens to be attacked in the one place where there's no camera that can get a shot of the brutal attack. Then he said that the attackers ran away after attacking him. We have no footage of people running in the night. The streets are empty. So we'd have footage of a couple of guys running. No, there's no footage of that. We have the two shadowiest figures. As I saw, when they released that footage and they showed these shadowy figures, that's all they had. You can't see anything. I'm like, is that me? Am I one of those two guys? I mean, it was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let me go back to what I was saying initially. I get all this. Fine. Okay. Chicago still has an issue with violence. And I don't think that, though you don't want this to be, and I understand the political implications, I understand it's bigger than that. Jussie Smollett is not more important than the many black people who are shot, etc., in Chicago all the time. That needs to be addressed too. So I understand, so I don't need it explained to me what the implication is. But what I'm saying is, how terrible is it that this happens, stuff like this happens in Chicago all the time, and now this is the one time that everybody is focusing on it. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Oh, well, I just want to make clear, I wasn't trying to mansplain to you about.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying I don't need it explained because I understand what the implication is. But I also have seen for donkey's years what happens in Chicago, and now somebody cares about the violence in Chicago. Okay.
Well, first of all, if nothing else, Jussie Smollett proved how incredibly safe Chicago is. Because would I go out at 3:00 in the morning and go get a Subway sandwich? Would I what I call Postmates? So he apparently he thought it was perfectly safe to go stroll while there were death threats against him. That's how safe Chicago is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole story is. I don't think it's ended. I don't think we've seen the end of this. So
It can't end until A, there are charges pressed against him. Again, I need to preface it. If this is proven to be false, charges need to be pressed against him for filing a false police report, which is a felony and should be. And he needs to be erased from Empire and out of the business. Just I can't even begin to say how shunned he needs to be. And I don't need any black people defending him or on his side. I don't need the gay community. If his family wants to try and rally around him, they better rally around him in the house.
Okay.
I think it's going to be interesting if it's proven to be a staged hoax attack. It's going to be interesting to see, like,
going forward.
No, not even that. Like, what was the motive?
Now, some people are claiming that he was in danger, that his character was in danger of being written off the show, and this was designed to get him in the news and get him sympathy. And that's why I think that's, to me, the reason why I believe that is the MAGA thing especially is what's going to have like a lot of people in Hollywood, not everybody, but a lot of people in Hollywood are Democrats, they're liberal, and the idea that they would all rally around him. So even if he got cut from that show, there'd be other people to embrace him and give him jobs, and he would basically become some kind of martyr for the cause.
Yeah, but I don't think he was going to have any problem getting the job. And then on top of it, Fox said that wasn't true. And then
but what is Fox gonna say?
Well,
Are they gonna say that yes, we were threatening to fire him?
Yeah, but also the initial report was from like Fox News, and I'm sorry, I just don't trust Fox News.
No,
I just don't trust Fox News.
No.
So
one thing that was telling to me that nobody talks about is, did anybody else notice after this initial happened, a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon saying justice for Jussie, but two people that took a while to say something?
Jussie.
Who did I say?
Jesse. Like Jesse Owens or Jesse.
Okay, whatever his name is. I'm trying to forget who he is. But anyway, is Taraji P. Henson and oh God, what her husband's name on the show?
Oh, Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
I mean, he wasn't going to say nothing anyway.
They did not jump in a minute. It took them a minute to actually say something and release a statement saying that, like, we're saddened by this horrible attack kind of thing.
Well, Taraji was just coming off her her whole thing with the R. Kelly thing. So she was probably just trying to stay quiet. She's like, I don't want no parts in any of this.
Just be quiet, say nothing.
She had a movie coming out. I already had Erykah Badu in it, who was just defending R. Kelly.
Yeah.
So
like Erykah.
They were probably just like,
started on Erykah.
Yeah, they were probably just like, we need to stay quiet right now. I don't want any controversy at all.
What's the name of that movie? That
What Men Want.
What men want,
How's
and
it? How's
don't
it
get me
going?
started on the even the premise of that movie
Yeah.
is like she gets magical powers and she can see what men are thinking, as if you would need the powers of mind reading to understand what men want.
Correct. Correct.
Men can be men put on this facade like they're so straightforward, but men really do have doubts and stuff like that. They do those things. I heard the movie was good, actually. I heard it was surprisingly good. Because What Women Want was good.
Mel Gibson.
Right, and that's a reimagining of
Yeah,
what
it
women
was.
want.
Yeah, it was a reimagining of it. I saw some reviews of it, and people said it was. Their word was like surprisingly good.
Great, and I can wait till it comes on Netflix.
I had no hopes for it. I'm not going to see it in the
Yeah,
theater.
I was going to ask what the numbers
but
were.
I just heard it was good. So that's Jussie Smollett. And then the last thing was in my nerd space, there's a bunch of white dudes who are really angry about Captain Marvel right now. Like, really angry. And it is funny. And Brie Larson is, like, trolling them on Twitter, which is hilarious. And so, like, one of the things they're mad at is they're doing so. If you guys remember during Black Panther, they did this thing. They had these GoFundMe's. So, like, these different organizations for different inner city or organizations could like rent out theaters and take a bunch of kids to go see Black Panther. Well, essentially, something similar is happening like that for women. So, there's a bunch of like different organizations across the country that are like raising money to rent out theaters to take like little girls and elementary school girls and middle school girls to go see Captain Marvel. And Brie Larson is like participating in them, promoting like whenever she sees one, she'll promote it on her Twitter and stuff like that. And so she's getting attacked by these white men, and they're basically like, this movie's trash, and you're trying to artificially boost the sales, and I'm just like, why are y'all so mad about this movie? Another guy was like they had this big thing on social media where these guys and these things got thousands and thousands of retweets, where these guys basically were like, she's not smiling in any of the scenes in the trailer, so they photoshopped smiles on all the Captain Marvel posters and the different scenes in the trailer to make it quote unquote better. And then recently, there's this guy named Ethan Van Sciver, who's this. He was a artist for like Marvel and DC, and he basically got blackballed out of the industry because he's like super right wing Trump guy, and he calls everybody SJWs, and he's mad that women don't have huge boobs and small waist anymore in comic books, and they're all covered up. So now it's this whole thing that like her suit is covered up, and she's not showing her boobs and stuff right now. So, have you guys seen any of that? And like, what do you think about what's going on with that?
Kevin.
Oh, I was gonna let you speak first because I shockingly have a few things to say. No, this is so shocking to me. I remember hearing a quote, somebody saying how when you have always had everything, having just anything taken away from you feels like oppression. Because I couldn't understand why the energy and the rage that these guys have with anything, when you change anything, a character that was all these characters that are white. So basically, before 99% of movies were about white people. Now it's 98% of movies are about white men, and that is just like oppression to them. It is so disturbing to them. And the smile thing is particularly weird. It's just again, please show me on any of these guys' Twitter feed where they're basically going in and making Chris Evans smile.
They're not
in ads. They're not. So it is beyond sexist and crazy. And one thing that always has been a pet peeve of mine, I noticed this as a child. It's just like, I always was like with Wonder Woman, like, wait a minute, if you're gonna go fight crime, do you think panties and a bustier is the best possible outfit you could wear when you're gonna be battling the forces of evil?
No.
That's the mascarin, bustiers and underwear, So,
yeah, but that was on a tropical island, so that makes sense that we were all just wearing panties, everybody. But not when she's in New York and stuff. But it never made any sense.
Yeah, Chachi, what do you think about this? Have you heard of any of these things going on?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
you can't
yeah.
see my face, but I can imagine. You can imagine what my
We can
face
hear
looks
your
like.
you
You
can
can
hear
hear
your
my
expression.
face.
We can hear it.
Very
Absolutely,
expressive voice.
absolutely.
Very expressive voice.
So the thing that I always like to say is that my excellence brings out your mediocrity and calls out your mediocrity. So when you're part of a group of people, like Kevin was saying, that has always gotten everything, but not always gotten everything because you deserved it. You got everything because of who you are. Now, when you see other people starting to get things, it makes you question who you are and why you have what you have. So rather than to deal with your inadequacy, you lambast others. So
Mhm.
this is a perfect example of that. Two, when the whole smile thing, that's less threatening. Why? I mean, you could look at that in terms of back in the day when why black people are always relegated to comedic roles. Why we always had to be happy and smiling, and you had this happy Negro thing because somebody who was smiling is less threatening and not coming after your lot in life. So that's where that whole smile thing comes from. Uh, I think we have allowed for too long for people to be comfortable with status quo. And so now that status quo is being questioned, these guys are mad and upset. And it's like, you already have the whole pizza. I just asked for one pepperoni and you're mad over that. And I
Mhm.
didn't even ask for the whole pepperoni. I said, can I just have half? Because I'm a little bit hungry. No, you got to get your own. Bootstraps, bootstraps. Okay. So I think people are tired of it because it's like, again, you can look at the parallels in the workplace. You can look at all these things. I could just speak from my experience in the academy, and I mean, we've all worked at places where you're like, I'm sorry, what? Where especially like where I am in the academy, black faculty, especially black women faculty, are working 50 million times harder
I agree.
because you feel like you have something to prove. And
Mhm.
then you have some white male faculty, even though the academy is supposed to be this bastion of freedom and expression. No, it's worse than corporate America. And so you have some status quo white male faculty that will make you feel like your research is less than, etc. So when
Mhm.
you start to make some inroads, they're scared. Oh, I can't just use the same slides I've been using since 1972. Now I actually have to do something for the students. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is just a metaphor for all of life, for a lot of life. So they're scared because they're starting to lose ground. That's all that is. But too damn bad for them.
Yeah, too bad. And I can't wait for it. Comes out next month. Looks amazing. And they're gonna be so mad when it gets great reviews. It's similar to what happened with Black Panther. Like I remember Black Panther was going no, even more recent example in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It was at
Right.
100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a fantastic film. It was my favorite film of the year. Any film, not just animated. And everyone was giving it great scores. And then of course, this one dude who works for like the who's he write for? Like the I think it's the National Review or the Weekly Standard, some Republican um, paper. Of course, he gives all these films a bad rating, and he comes out and he doesn't get. He gives it a rotten score. And I'm like, no one would think this is a rotten score unless you just don't like that it's the Black Spider-Man. Like that's literally the only reason. And so it's one of those things where these people are just angry, and I enjoy trolling them on Twitter. It was like, were you guys on Twitter? Do you remember that Gillette ad that came out a little while ago?
Yes.
God,
Yes.
yes.
And
Yes.
so when that came out, I was on there, and I clicked on the ad, and then I clicked on the comments, and I just started like retweeting people and making snide comments towards them about their comments, and they're just like, "I'm not getting my raises from here anymore. You lost a customer. You're demeaning all men. Blah blah blah." And I just watched this. I'm just like, how fragile is the male psyche that they can watch this and just be, and they turn it into like people are against all men and this I can't get this product anymore. And they were basically proving the commercial correct. And you realize that there's so
Exactly.
many people out here that think this way, and it's so sad. But I in
Well,
order,
but I want. Wait, no, can I say something really
yeah, of
quick?
course,
The Gillette ad was anti-bullying, and anti-misogyny. So if you are a bully, then you feel like you would feel attacked because yes, you are being attacked. Your behavior is being attacked. So that's why they came out and they were so angry.
Yeah.
And one other thing about the idea, I saw like some tweets where their guys were like putting the Gillette razors in the toilet, and it's like, you can't flush a razor, right? I just so stupid. It reminds me of the people that were like burning their Nike gear because they were mad about Colin Kaepernick's ads.
Homie in the store
in Colorado.
Colorado.
Nothing made me happier than the fact. Oh, I'm so sorry for you. That's too bad. So sad.
Really don't give a two
that
damn.
your store
I'm so
because
sad.
of your bigotry.
But this shows you how irrational people that are misogynistic and bigoted are.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you would waste your own money, burn your own money. You might as well burn your own house down. They would burn their own house down because of that hatred. How stupid are you? And yes, I'm saying it on live radio or whatever. You're stupid.
Yeah,
you're
ridiculous.
damn stupid. The fact that shows how much your hatred has a hold on you that you can't control yourself. Really?
Yeah,
go sit down.
Nothing made me happier than to see that.
Loved it.
That made my day.
And also, that ad was incredible, by the way.
Yeah,
it was great.
Ad.
It was a great ad. And this is the other thing. In terms of the money, you're flushing razors. So now you're messing up your plumbing, okay? In your house, you have to pay to fix it because you don't want to use Gillette razors. Stupidly, because for some reason you can't throw them away. And here's the thing. You're not hurting Gillette. They're like, oh, the hell, well, witch.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Other people are still going to buy from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also their sales are going to go up, just like what happened. People were predicting the end of Nike, and Nike sales went through the roof.
Okay, but you have to understand who buys Nikes. You have to understand who buys Nikes. People of color, particularly Black people, are really the high. If you look proportionately at their numbers, people of color buy Nikes a lot. So the fact that a couple of racists were going to stop buying Nikes, they were like, whatever, witch, because we still have this community who's going to buy. You don't make us.
Yeah,
they're not
Nike
dumb.
sales
Nike's
went
not
through the roof.
dumb.
No.
Yeah, and I shave electric, but I bought some Gillette razors just like being part of the resistance. I'm like, all right, yeah. Okay,
and they completely erase women again because one, a lot of women do the shopping for the house and they pick up razors and they may see that commercial and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get my husband Gillette. And two, women shave and so they may buy a Gillette razor. And it's not the largest part of the population, but if you can get an increase in that to counteract the loss in the misogynist people, then you're good to go. So Gillette didn't care.
And one of the stupid things that I want to tell, speaking of what Tachi was saying, calling people stupid, one of the things I'm going to let you people know that are probably dumb enough, I don't know why you're still listening to this podcast, but if you happen to be somewhere where you can't turn it off and you're an idiot, when you go and buy those store brand and other off-brand razors, those were also made by Gillette.
Yeah.
They just don't have Gillette's name on them. So they're still going to get your money. They're still going to get
I saw some online razor company, and they were like, clearly Gillette doesn't like men. Come buy our razor. We care about men. I'm like, this is the marketing campaign you want to go on? This is not I don't think this is a great idea, buddy. But yeah, that was funny. All right, so before we get out of here, let's get into some of these news articles. Marvel and Hulu set 4-show animated slate. So a lot of people know that the Marvel shows that were on Netflix, Daredevil, Punisher, Luke Cage, they've all been canceled.
Oh, wait, this just in. They also just announced today that they've canceled Jessica Jones and The Punisher.
Yeah, they're all getting canceled. And I knew this for a while.
Gone.
Because, one, Disney Play is coming out, so they're going to move it to their own streaming service. And two, they wanted to tell some different stories. And so one of the stories that they're going to do is they're going to go on Hulu, and they're going to have a MODOK series, which is going to be hilarious. Tigra and Dazzler, which are mutants, and the X-Men, and Howard the Duck, which is ridiculous. If anybody's seen that movie
Howard
from
the
the
Duck
80s.
is everything.
And they're going to be similar to like Adult Swim style animation, so it's going to be more adult oriented. And not to mention with the Disney Plus, they got Loki and Winter Soldier and Vision TV shows with the actors from the movies. So a lot of people are worried and they think this is a bad sign for Marvel. But it's not actually a bad sign. It's just that Disney's decided they want to. They also own 50% of Hulu, so it makes sense that they would move their stuff to Hulu and their own streaming service as opposed to Netflix. And Netflix doesn't need it because they have plenty of original content. So they don't need to pay for the licenses to do these other shows.
The Runaways on Hulu was really great, so they're doing really good. Cloak and Dagger was on Freeform, and it was okay, but it wasn't anything to talk about. But Runaways is definitely a hit on Hulu, so I definitely think that the future's bright over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any hope of getting some of the shows like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones back with the original cast, the members that were on the Netflix version,
Yeah, it's a
making
possibility.
it way to Disney Play or to Hulu?
Yeah, it's there are some rumors that they may go on Disney Play, but I think what they are thinking about doing is doing something a little bit different. I think they might have thought they went as far as they want to go with those, but the actors have said that they are still in talks with Disney and Marvel. So I would imagine either you're going to see their shows come back or you're going to see them in other forms of other shows. But I don't think all of them are going to be gone, especially like John Bernthal as Punisher, Christian Ritter as Jessica Jones. Like they are really, really good there, and I don't expect them to be gone forever. So we'll see. I don't expect anything in the next 6 months to 8 months, but they still have another Jessica Jones series that's coming out, and that's the last. It's already been in production, so that's the last one. That's the last Marvel Netflix show. Whenever that comes out, I think sometime at the end of this year is when it's supposed to come out. Have either of you watched The Marvelous Miss Maisel?
Oh,
Yes.
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 So yeah, I heard that show's really good. My wife watched it. I want to watch it. But apparently, Rachel and Tony are getting big, big pay raises for the next season, which is really good to see. Says Brosnan stands to reportedly make as much as triple her previous salary, potentially earning up to $300,000 per episode, and may also get a piece of the show's back end with her new agreement. Though she's number one on the call sheet, Brosnan's starting salary was said to be lower than that for some of her more established co-stars that have likely been rectified. Shalhoub's pay will also rise substantially to a reported $250,000 per episode. Look at that! Look at the woman making more than the man. And Bornstein's expected to as well. So yeah, that's really good news. How do y'all like the show?
It's fantastic. It's really, really well done, well written. It's good. Kevin and I were talking about comedy, and clearly this is comedy, dramedy. What it is, comedy. So we were talking about the sad state of network comedies and how terrible most of them are, but how they've really done well with drama. However, comedy has been consistently funny and good on Over the Top and on cable. So the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is a great example of the wins that streaming has had with comedy.
Yeah, this show is it is gorgeous to look at. They spend
Yes.
money. It is a movie caliber production. There's a part of the second season when they go on vacation to like the Catskills, and it was like this is a big budget film. The amount of extras, and every time you watch an episode of that show, you feel absolutely transported. Absolutely transported. And it is really a slap in the face to learn that the title character of the show was making less money than people that were on the show, not that did have anywhere near as much screen time as she did. So I'm glad that is finally being rectified, which she's been so recognized with getting Golden Globes and Emmys on repeat. So hopefully she's getting paid something close to what she deserves, because this was one of the reasons why people are keeping Amazon Prime Video.
Yes, and so I'm gonna check that out. My On a side note, I am waiting for The Expanse, which Amazon picked up, which is one of my favorite shows on television, and Amazon picked it up, and I cannot wait for that to come back later this season.
Very good show.
So yeah, if you haven't watched The Expanse, you should. It's really, really well. It's a sci-fi show, but it's like one of the best stories I've ever seen. A sci-fi show, and it's just incredibly acted, Very interesting concept, and it's one of the most real sci-fi shows. Like, so essentially, it takes place 150 years from now, and we have like colonized Mars, but like not fully. Like, they still have like some dome cities, but the Mars and Earth. Basically, the people of Mars were tired of being ruled by the people on Earth, so they basically formed their own like nation, and so they're like a part of the UN. So like the UN includes countries and like Mars. And then there's like these people that live in the asteroid belt that like mine stuff, like to get ice and water and bring it back to Mars because they don't have resources there.
Belters, right?
And yeah, they're called belters. And so they all have like their own. It's like this big political drama in space. But they still haven't found intelligent alien life, so it's not like it's a bunch of aliens running around. But they think they might have found something, and it's like this whole thing of like politics plus this other threat coming.
This mystery,
similar to like Game of Thrones. And how Game of Thrones has
the White Walkers,
the fight for the throne, but then you have this White Walker threat coming, and people need to figure it out. It's similar to that style, so it's really, really well done.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, The Expanse is good. The first 3 seasons are on Amazon Prime. You can watch them for free, and then the 4th season it was on Sci-Fi, and then Sci-Fi canceled it, and then Amazon picked it up. Jeff Bezos actually said it was funny. He came out at the time, and he was like, "This was literally my favorite show on television, so I want Amazon to produce it." So he bought the show basically because he liked it himself, which is actually funny. Wow. Do you all remember Are You Afraid of the Dark and all that on Nickelodeon?
Of course.
Yes, absolutely.
Of course.
Okay, so both of those shows are actually getting rebooted.
No.
So all that is being rebooted, and Kenan Thompson is going to be the executive producer for the show. According to a new weekly series, will showcase a fresh cast of kids with original cast members making special appearances. TV executive Kevin Kay from All That, SpongeBob SquarePants, Lip Sync Battle will executive produce alongside Kenan Thompson and comedian Jermaine Fowler, serving as consulting producer on the series, slated to premiere this summer. So yeah, all that's coming back. And then Are You Afraid of the Dark is getting a TV miniseries revival. The successful 90s era horror themed anthology series was one of Nickelodeon's most popular titles during both its initial run, 1990 through 96, and its much shorter secondary run from 1999 to 2000. Having gained its share of praise over those years, many fans have been patiently waiting and hoping for the day it returns.
These fans are in their 30s, yo. These fans are in their 30s, maybe 40s. This is terrible. It's a terrible idea.
How is this a terrible idea?
It's fucking terrible. Where are they going to put this stuff at?
Well, my guess is
going to be on. It looks like
they want to be able to introduce this to their kids. That's,
yeah, it's going to be on. It's going to be on Paramount. It looks like the Paramount channel. Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Kids don't watch that channel.
So. Did you see the Twilight Zone reboot with my man from Get Out?
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Jordan Peele. It's coming. It's going to be coming on CBS All Access. People are going to watch that. I know I'm going to watch it.
You have CBS All Access?
I just got CBS All Access because of that. 2, because they're doing Captain Picard from Star Trek: The Next Generation. They're doing a series that just follows him,
right?
And Patrick Stewart, which I'm like, yes, please. And everyone tells me how great Star Trek Discovery is, so I had to start watching it.
No, it absolutely is. But one of the things that they do that really bothers me is how they release their shows.
So how do they do it?
They don't do it Netflix style. They release one episode of Star Trek Discovery as a precious gem each and every Sunday night. So you get one episode a week, and
I mean, I see why they do it, but yeah.
Oh wait, it gets worse. You're thinking,
no.
Kevin, stop. It gets worse.
No.
They don't even give you the full season. They give you half the season, one episode at a time. Then they take a nice little break. You know, because you can't handle more than like 8 episodes in a row, can you? No, it's too tense. So you have to take a little breather. We all relax for a few months, and then we give you the second half, one episode at a time.
That's right.
So this is my survival guide for CBS All Access people, because there's not that much content there. The content that they do have that you'd be interested in is great, but it's not a lot. Wait for all of season 2 of Star Trek Discovery to have aired. Once it has, you join for one glorious month. Watch all of Watch all of season 1. Watch all of season 2, and watch their after trek. They have like a talk show, like a Talking Dead kind of thing that is brilliant. They have tons of people that are involved. They have writers. They really respect writers on that show. They respect the actors. It's a great show. But is it worth paying every month for when you no. No. Get it for one glorious month. Watch all of Captain Picard show. Wait for that too. Wait for the whole season to be dealt out. Then have it for a glorious month, and then join a year later. Join for another glorious month. I feel like do not support them because these shows, all the trash that is on regular CBS. And they want to like, oh, you nerds, we're gonna get some extra money out of you. Don't turn me upside down and shake my pockets loose when you can put on some stupid MacGyver reboot can be on regular CBS.
My parents love that show.
See, here's the thing. If you have good content and you're doing things right, you don't have to do a shakedown and you don't have to trick people into, staying with you. That all of that is a trick because they know you'll continue to pay because you want to see the rest of XYZ. So even if you take a month off, you'll come back. You'll get continuous support from people that will be loyal if you do things right. There is nothing the hell else I want to see on CBS except these new things, which they put on CBS All Access. Guess what? If you have better programming and you consistently have better programming, people will pay for it. But you have like 2 or 3 little things, and then you dole out things like Kevin said once every 5 years. Stop playing those tricks. If you do things right, people will follow you. I mean, look at Netflix. Granted, they have built up donkey's years of content, and they're putting $13 billion in original content. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of a different case, but they have loyalty because they do things right. They provide content that people want.
And if you want to feel more rage and not want to give CBS All Access more money, let me tell you one last thing. People that are outside of the United States can watch Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, it's on Netflix.
On Netflix.
Yeah, I knew that. Yep.
Yet we can't. We need to pay for a separate service. No.
This is hacking CBS
See, here's
All
the
Access
thing.
by Kevin.
So you just learned the game or how to get through it. But here's the problem with this is a common problem with all these streaming services. They get the streaming services before they have the content. That's why I like what Disney's doing. Disney has announced like a ton of stuff for Disney Play. And Disney Play's not out yet because it looks like they're trying to shoot some of these things. They're trying to get some of these things ready. So when the Disney Play comes out, there's plenty of content for people, and then they plan on continuing to add new content. And if you think about all the stuff that Disney owns, they have unlimited content. Like if you think about like Star Wars, just a nerd. If you look at the nerd culture, if you think about between the Star Wars universe and the Marvel universe, you could write shows for years. And then you have all the old Disney content, so you can bring kids in. Because that's another thing Another thing that Netflix does well is they have a huge kid selection. And so if you have kids, you can make your kid a Netflix kid account, and they can get on there. You can keep your kid busy when you got to go do something.
Oh, but there's even more when it comes to Disney Play. Because remember, Disney is ABC.
ABC.
So they have all ABC's content as well. It's going to find its way on there, I'm sure.
Yep, and ESPN. So so Disney Play I think is going to be well. And I heard that the price that they're floating out there is $4.99.
Get the fuck out of here! You got to do that.
That's what they're floating out there. There's going to be $4.99. So
that's the right price point, because one of the things that's really weird now, there's just too many. NBC has announced that they're launching a new streaming service. Warner has announced it's too many. That's another thing. I've done this call on our show. I'm gonna do it on yours. People, do not subscribe to all these other weird streaming services. You're only making your Netflix streaming service less relevant. What all these companies are doing is pulling their content from Netflix and thinking we can just basically create our own service and to get more of that money. And then we're all paying for like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 different streaming services. No, let those flop, and then they will come crawling back to Netflix, and you can still keep paying your same $13 and watching all the same content.
Well, the only problem with
these companies.
The only problem with that is part of it is them people pulling their stuff from Netflix, but part of it is Netflix doesn't want it because Netflix doesn't need it. So there was a time when Netflix was all licensed content, but now, like Tachi was saying, they've invested so much money in original content that they don't need any of this stuff. Like they really don't need any of it. Like you can just stay on Netflix all day and watch the original content and never get through anything, much less the movies and the other TV shows and any of those types of things.
I find it hard to believe that Netflix is happy about not having any more Marvel or Disney original films or Star Wars stuff. I can't believe that
Okay,
they're
well,
cool
hold
with
on.
that.
Netflix
I don't
didn't want
think-
it
Okay,
anymore.
hold on.
You're saying so they don't want literally whenever I turn on Netflix,
So
the
you're just gonna
biggest
talk
splash
over-
screen is lots of the
You're
Black
just gonna
Panther
Marvel
talk-
and Star Wars things.
Go ahead,
You're just
Tachi.
gonna talk over me, Kevin.
So
And-
I did not
and-
hear
and
you. Sorry.
Here we go, man. Hello.
Go ahead, Tachi.
I support Black
Look,
women.
I'm talking now. See, damn it! Now I forgot my point. But you're not gonna say a damn thing. Kevin. None of you. So, A, we need to learn how to take turns so that everybody gets heard. B, I don't think that this is a major thing as in terms of that. No, they're not happy that these, I'm not saying they're 100% happy that these properties have left, but they knew the game from early. What you all need to realize is they realized that if you cannot license things forever without the fear of it going away. They knew that they had gold. They knew that after they kept winning and kept winning and kept winning, all these networks, all these other entities were going to come up with their own over-the-top and streaming. Cord cutting is a big part of that as well. Since they're cutting the cord, okay, let's go to the cord cutter. So there are all these different things that we have to look at. Netflix was well aware and has been for a long time that their licensing agreements are very short for a lot of them. They're going to end this year, and that they better be ready. So again, which is why last year they said, okay, initially they said we're putting 8 billion. Then they came back and said we're putting 13 billion. That's because they're saying, you know what? We know you witches are going to pull your stuff from Netflix anyway. So we are prepared with our own arsenal of stellar show programming. So they're, I'm not worried for them necessarily. Now they can't rest on their laurels because this is quickly how Netflix overtook Blockbuster because Blockbuster sat on their laurels. So you can't sit on your laurels in this game, but I'm not worried for them because they've got Ryan Murphy and Shonda Rhimes, and they pulled a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah.
So don't cry for them, Argentina. They're going to be all right.
No, Netflix is perfectly fine. And from the articles I've read a few articles in the Hollywood Reporter about this. And from everything that I've read is that like they knew this was kind of a mutual thing more than just a Disney thing. It was kind of just a mutual thing between Netflix and Disney with the Marvel shows leaving the network. And yeah, they're not. I don't think they're worried about it in the least. In that case. Let's speed through some of these other ones because I've kept you guys here a long time.
No, we're enjoying it.
That's cool. Frozen 2 trailer sets all-time views record for animated movie. So yeah, I saw Frozen.
It was great.
I liked Frozen. I never got why it was such a big thing.
I don't get that either,
but. I mean, Frozen
strong
made
female roles. I don't like.
Frozen made $1.2 billion. Like that's absurd amount of money. So yeah, Frozen 2's coming out. Are you guys into animated films? You gonna go see Frozen 2?
No. I like animated films. I saw Frozen. It was delightful, but the reality remains that anything that is animated for the most part is going to be a hit with kids. And so it's going to do well unless it's just that terrible of a film. But for the most part, it's going to do well. And I'm sure Frozen 2, and I don't even get why the song Let It Go was such a no disrespect to the I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. But there's no rhyme or reason as to what children like. And if kids like it, the parents like it too. So, yeah, the original answer, no, I'm probably not going to see it. But I will see it when it comes on TV.
Shout out to that Baby Shark.
Okay,
song,
I
that
was
Baby
one of
Shark
the
song
last
rocks.
people on the planet Earth to see Frozen. and I was resisting it for the longest time. But when I saw it, I can't deny I was delighted. The song to me from that movie is not "Let It Go." It's the song where Olaf is dreaming about what it's going to be like for summer. How Snowman is looking forward to summer. That just my heart was like warmed. I'm like, oh damn you, Disney. Damn you. So I actually watched the little it's not even really a trailer, honestly. It's like a sneak peek of Frozen 2. And the emotion they're able to well up, because there's really almost no dialogue in the trailer. And I'm like, damn it, I actually am excited and looking forward to Frozen 2.
Okay. Y'all got to do it together.
When Anna pulls out that knife, I'm like, damn it, what? What is going down? What is happening?
Okay.
I have not seen the trailer, so now I need to.
We got a Frozen fan here. We got two of them with Devin. So
I'm here
clearly.
James Cameron's got me defending Aquaman somehow. Titanic director James Cameron criticizes Aquaman for, quote, a lack of realism.
I mean, he made blue people, y'all. He made blue people.
That's so absurd. By the way, I saw Alita Battle Angel this weekend, and that movie, one, is unbelievably beautiful. Like, the technology in this film is incredible. Like, it's absurd how beautiful that film is. However, the film has no story. It's like you're basically if you had to pay for movies, you're paying $16 or $12 or whatever to go watch a prologue for a movie. Not like the first chapter of a movie, but like a prologue, like literally a prologue of a film. And
how long is it?
It's like it's actually ridiculously long. I don't know how long it is, but it felt the last half an hour. I'm just like, is this going to be over with? In my head, it's like this has got to be over with. And the action scenes are great. I enjoyed that, but the film was a little bit too long for me. But that was a James Cameron thing, and people are saying that it was like basically a test run for his new Avatar film, like with technology.
Absolutely. This is why he's upset. He's upset because the whole thing about the next Avatar is supposed to be it's supposed to be Pandora underwater, and so he's pissed that I feel like the Aquaman's underwater world is kind of people are going to be saturated. There's going to be an Aquaman 2, so I think he's thinking it's going to take away from how much money the Avatar sequels are going to eventually make.
Yeah, and Alita cost $220 million, and it only made $43 million debut. So like this is going to be a flop.
Now, did you find her eyes to be disturbing? Because just in the ads, her eyes freaked me out.
They played it up though, so it's not like an accident. They play up her eyes, and I think it has something to do with her character. But the story, the film was very very thinly sourced about the character. So I was listening to a podcast review, and one of the women on there is like a big book person. So she read the manga of Alita Battle Angel, so she knew about the book, and she's basically like, none of this is in the book, and none of this is in the book like an adaptation from the film, not like that, meaning like the book just picks up with Alita like being the Battle Angel and in her world, and the movie tries to give her a backstory that was never there. And so James Cameron's basically like creating his own backstory because he thinks he needs to create it for you to care about the Alita character before you just get into the story. So it's very interesting. But yeah, the audacity of James Cameron, just the audacity. By the way, I saw Happy Death Day 2, and yeah, it's very fun. That's a fun film. You should go see it. Everyone should go see it.
Fun how?
Oh, Happy Death Day 2. Did you see Happy Death Day?
I did not, because it just did not appeal to me. It's horror, right?
No. Surprisingly, I mean,
like comedy.
It's like comedy horror. Like it's you would think it's like this teen horror joke film. It's not. I mean, it is in a way, but it's not. It's a film that like knows what it is. Like the film knows that what genre it is trying to do, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. So
speaking of. Well, what I'm going to ask about the ending of part one, since there's a sequel, I mean, the question is, in the first movie, she keeps getting murdered by this baby-faced masked killer. So does in the first movie, it isn't answered why this is happening?
It does, and sort of, but then the second movie goes into more detail on what caused the first movie to happen, and then they accidentally make it happen again. But it's done in a different way where it's done really, really smartly. Like if you look at the reviews on it, they're all almost really positive. And this one goes well into sci-fi. It's basically like Groundhog Day mixed with slasher film, but not blood. Like there's no blood. But there's no blood, and you don't see any of it. But the kills are like hilarious. Like there's one part in this second one where she's like dying on purpose because she's trying to figure out like she has to like it's like this science project, and they have to figure out the science project to fix what's causing the repeating days. And so, but at the end of the day, all the people that are helping her with it don't remember anything. So she's the only one who has to remember everything. So they're doing all these tests during the day, and then at nighttime she kills herself. And so she's doing all these ridiculous things to kill herself, and it's like this one person who she doesn't like on college campus. So she like jumps out of a plane and like crashes right in front of them where they're like kissing their boyfriend. And it's like really, really fun. So it's not like what you think. It's not like Saw or Scream or anything like that. It's basically like Groundhog Day with a really good actress. Like the girl who played the girl in the movie, she's really good. Like she's like doesn't need to be in this movie good type actress.
Wow.
Like
wow.
She's really good. She's really the whole cast is actually really good, but she's really good. I got on from the sidetrack.
No, that's okay. Glad you enjoyed it.
Chris Pratt is messing up again. So he defended his anti-LGBT church after he got called out by Ellen Page. Actor Chris Pratt appeared to defend his church, Hillsong, following criticism for it being anti-LGBT. There have been rumors and criticism of the church for some time. These sentiments gained steam last week. However, when Ellen Page publicly called out Pratt for not addressing the church's LGBTI stances while discussing it with Stephen Colbert, Pratt posted a lengthy statement on his Instagram story addressing the church's controversy regarding the claims of him belonging to the church that is infamously anti-LGBTQ. He wrote, "Nothing could be further from the truth." So there it is. And he does this thing where it's like it's a picture of this goat, and it's like Jesus said, "I give you a new command, love one another," and he basically just disregards it. So he's been kind of messing up for a while now with different things. So he's got this is just another time. I saw somebody was like, when Avengers Endgame comes out, can he not come back?
So one of the things he did say in the statement was that he released. He said that his church isn't cool with divorce, but they supported him through his divorce, and basically whatever the church believes doesn't mean that it reflects on what he believes, which is like, if you diverge from what the church believes, why do you continue to go there?
Right. That's that whole thing.
Well, okay, no, that is that whole thing, and let me just play the other side for a minute. There are certain things in a lot of people's different faiths that they don't subscribe to, but they still go. Why are people holding Chris Pratt to the fire for that?
Well, it's mostly because Chris Pratt has done other stuff in the past.
No, and rightfully so. Yes, he's been stupid in the past, but for this particular thing, is that any different? Just look at the other side of it. Is that any different than many other people that are with many other faiths? For okay, let's take Scientology and some of the cockamamie things that go on there, and how many people in Hollywood are part of Scientology.
Yeah, well, I'm not cool with Scientologists either, but the Chris with the Chris Pratt thing. Oh, but don't sue. Wait, you guys are great. But when it comes to the Chris Pratt thing, the idea that they basically use him as the face of that church, and so that's what it is. So if you're going to basically represent and kind of be the face of a homophobic church, don't be surprised if people are like, well, what's up with you? And be like, oh, well, don't look, just because whatever they believe doesn't mean that I believe that, but then also be the face of it.
So this is what the church said. The pastor said he holds traditional Christian thought on gay lifestyles and gay marriage, and that God's word is clear that marriage is between a man and a woman. And he continued, he says, all people, but do not affirm all lifestyles. We do not affirm all lifestyles. Put clearly, We do not affirm a gay lifestyle, and because of this, we do not knowingly have actively gay people in positions of leadership, either paid or unpaid. So they're basically just like, so that's why people are coming after him, because if he, at one hand, he's saying the church, he used the example, the church doesn't support divorce, but they supported me with divorce. But at the same time, he said the church said they don't support gay people, but they also like don't have any gay people in anywhere. So people are looking at it as like this stark hypocrisy where you're like, you say you don't support divorce, but you're willing to work with divorce.
Oh, absolutely.
But you draw the line.
Yeah,
You draw the line at gay
hypocrisy.
people when you're like you don't even do the thing where you go, I don't agree with it, but you're welcome here. It's basically like, I don't agree with it and you're not welcome here, type thing. And so people looked at him like, how can you know that and still come out and say that type thing.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I just was looking at the other end of it.
Yeah, I'm on team Anna Faris all day, every day. You got out just in time, homegirl.
I have a problem with these types of churches too, because my thing is like, I'm like, you think if they're not anti-one, they're not anti-others.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
usually these are the same churches that have other distasteful views
Yes.
like racism, misogyny, etc. So
Exactly.
that's my problem.
It's never
with
just
these
one.
type of churches. It's never just one.
Mhm.
It's never just one, except what the acceptable status quo is.
Yep. All right, quickly. Proof that nobody gets canceled. Woody Allen sues Amazon. Oh, well, sort of. Woody Allen sues Amazon for backing out of film deals. He's seeking $68 million after Amazon shelved one of his movies. One, at this point, why are you still making movies with Woody Allen? Like, we know it's way too much. You know way too much about Woody Allen for you to be making movies with Woody Allen. Two, I hope he don't get his money. That's how I feel. I hope he doesn't get any of his money. You guys got anything to say about that?
Oh, okay, yeah, I want to chime in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go.
I absolutely agree with you. I don't feel bad for Amazon if I do think he has a case, because normally in these kinds of things, when there's when something comes out about your background, you can have like a morals clause that says like, well, we didn't know you were a pedophile when we said we were going to work with you.
Right.
But everybody knew what the score was with Woody Allen. It only reared its head again when Ronan Farrow wrote an article about the fact that, oh, do you guys remember that this guy molested my sister? Remember that? And that was like, oh yeah. And so we don't want to do movies with him. So he has absolutely a right to sue. I don't want him to win, but I won't be surprised when he does win. And the idea that a penny of my Amazon Prime subscription money will go into his pocket bothers me.
Bothers me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. First of all, I'm like, really? This is what emboldens people like him, because there's constantly just let's just look away from it. So you knew about his daughter wife from Jump, yet you chose to ignore it. So really now, like Kevin said, he's well within his rights to sue you over this, because there was something contractually, and you knew this years and years and years after these allegations first came, and not even allegations, this proof first came out. So you can't now try and retract and redact things because it is not so societally acceptable. Amazon has to go with it, and I can see him winning. Although my thing is, like they say in the South, Woody Allen needs to sit down somewhere, because as you said, why is he still making movies? And why are you still making movies knowing good and full well you have a daughter wife?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God!
Hashtag
daughter wife. Hashtag daughter wife. People.
No hashtag. Oh my God.
Nobody gets canceled. That's why.
Woody's a genius, y'all. He's a genius.
And see, that's why he continues to be genius, because all of this, people just turn the other way when it comes to these things. This is what emboldens them. So he probably will win, and will go on to make many more movies.
And also all the actors that are in his movies, the ones that have now donated the money they made off of the movie that he made with Amazon. Yeah, you knew what he was too. I'm not cool with you either. All these people that keep working with these directors, the Bryan Singers and stuff like that, where we know, yeah, you need to be erased as well.
Why, man? People trying to make rent, bro. Like, that's kind of real. Like, I don't know
No,
that
you
I'm
know,
gonna cancel somebody for just trying to get a
Wait,
working
you know
gig.
what? Now you're right to a point.
right.
When we're talking about people who are like extras or getting their first break and they're in the Woody Allen thing, all's forgiven.
Yeah.
If you're a name that already has a IMDb page that I have to scroll to go through,
Okay.
you are over.
Yeah, you don't need to
Over.
do that.
You
No,
don't
no.
have to work with Woody Allen.
You
When
don't.
you have choices, when
You
you
have
have
choices.
choices, you shouldn't be making that choice.
Now, when Woody Allen asked me to star in his next picture, you guys can forgive me because that will be my first movie.
I will not. I will
Not
not. I
the
will say
same.
hashtag daughter wife.
And lastly, Elon Musk-backed AI company claims it made a text generator that is too dangerous to release. So, when are people going to learn about this stuff? Like,
Hold on. Why is it too dangerous to release?
researchers at the nonprofit AI research group OpenAI just wanted to train their new text generation software to predict the next word in a sentence. It blew away all of their expectations. It was so good at mimicking writing by humans, they decided to pump the brakes on the research while they explore the damage it could do. Yes.
They just keep trying to make Westworld a reality.
Yes.
We are all going to be killed, people.
The robot apocalypse is coming, in case you didn't know. It's already.
I'm with them.
Everything that is dreamt up in quote unquote sci-fi is actually there are actually things that can happen. The time travel is possible. All of this is really possible. It's just us having the resources to push it on a larger scale. So they didn't know this kind of stuff was dangerous before they started messing.
So here's what it says. In a shocking finding, scientists discovered. Okay, it says in one example. Okay, hold on, I went up too far. It says it has trouble with highly technical or esoteric types of content, but when it comes to more conversational writing, it generated reasonable samples 50% of the time. In one example, the software was fed this paragraph. In a shocking finding, scientists discovered a herd of unicorns living in a remote, previously unexplored valley in the Andes Mountains. Even more surprising to the researchers was the fact that the unicorn spoke perfect English. Based on those two sentences, it was able to continue writing this whimsical news story for another 9 paragraphs in a fashion that could have believably been written by a human being. Here are the next few machine paragraphs that were produced by the machine. The scientists named the population after the distinctive horn, Ovid's unicorn. These 4-horned silver-white unicorns were previously unknown to science. Now, after almost 2 centuries, the mystery of what sparked this odd phenomenon is finally solved. Dr. Jorge Perez, an evolutionary biologist from the University of La Paz, and several companions were exploring the Andes Mountains when they found a small valley with no other animals or humans. Perez knows that the valley had what appeared to be a natural fountain surrounded by 2 peaks of rock in the silver snow. So everything I just read was what the machine made up.
And
after that first paragraph that I read.
Going to the
So what are they surprised for? AI means artificial intelligence or machine learning, meaning that it gets smarter as time goes on. So what's the surprise?
That's scary. That's
absolutely.
It's scary that it's a reality. It's a reality
You're
show now,
basically
y'all.
creating something that's going to make you obsolete. It's going to learn everything.
But they knew that is the point of artificial intelligence. The point is for it to learn and to become smarter as it does these different tasks so that it can do these things on its own. But that is the paradox with artificial intelligence, that it can artificially intelligence you out of the picture. They know this.
That's
so
scary.
I don't understand what the surprise is.
That's so scary.
That's why I don't fuck with Alexa or Siri. I don't fuck with none of them.
Oh, that's so scary. Oh, my gosh. All right. Before we get out of here, Kevin and Tachi, can you tell everybody what you have coming up on the TV Channel podcast, where you can find the show, and also, Kevin, talk about your new show that you're doing.
Okay, Tachi, why don't you tell them about our show first?
Okay, fantastic. So, TV channeling, we are everywhere. We're on Stitcher, iTunes, / Apple Music, SoundCloud. We're on Google Play, on Spotify. Yes, we're also on TuneIn Radio. Basically, any podcasting platform we are on. We're also every Tuesday at 5 p.m. We are on wjmsradio.com. So 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on wjmsradio.com. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to be, we have a news show that's coming on tomorrow, and the new episode is actually up now, so you can listen to that now. Some of the same stories that we talked about today, we go through and peruse. And then again, we have a really great show coming up with a reality TV show producer that has worked on almost every single reality television show that you know and are aware of. And I'm going to put in a plug for Mediascope because my other show is Mediascope. I talk all about media, tech, and pop culture every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Periscope and Facebook Live and on WJMSradio.com.
Oh, also one thing that Tachi didn't mention is that not only are we interviewing that reality show producer, we go over our top 5 reality shows. We all have come up with our own list. There's crossover. It is crazy. It really is a fun episode. So please check it out. It's going to be dropping next Tuesday.
Okay.
And also, I have another podcast called Last Weekly. You can follow us on Twitter under Last Weekly. You can email us at lastweeklypodcast@gmail.com. And I have 2 great co-hosts on that show as well. And what we do is recap the week. We go through each day of the week and we talk about the top stories of those particular days. And it gets crazy. It gets funny. We do serious stories. We talked about like Pizzagate at Chuck E. Cheese this week. We talk about crazy stories, fun stories, big stories. It is a really fun show, and we do trailer talk where we talk about movie trailers. So it is nerd paradise.
So yes, so everyone go subscribe to both of those shows, all 3, and listen to the watch the Periscope show with Tachi. Thank you both, Tachi and Kevin, for coming on the show. We really, really appreciate it.
We love you guys.
We hope to have you on again. We hope to come on and review some more stuff on your show. You got me all hooked into Sabrina for coming on the show. So now I love the show.
The Christmas episode was really good too. I did watch that.
I blame you two for that, having me watch another television show of all the other things that I'm watching. That added another thing. But thank you both so much for coming on. We really,
love
really
you
appreciate
guys
it.
so much. Thank you so much for having us and for also being on our show. And we can't wait. If there is some TV show that you guys are particularly passionate about that's coming up and you want to join us, let us know. We will be happy to have you join us. Because like Umbrella Society, I've already seen it. So if you want to talk with me about that,
you got the notes ready and everything.
I'd be happy to
We can't wait to have you guys back.
Yeah, absolutely.
One last quick thing,
Sure.
because I hate to ask this because this happened when Tachi was on the show, but now that I'm on the show, I don't get asked the question I was looking forward to. What nerdy thing have I done this week? Why is it the one show I'm on that isn't brought up?
Oh, see, we haven't done that recently, so let's do it.
All right.
What have you done nerdy?
Well, I got to be on the podcast. Why so serious? So that was the nerdy thing I've done this week. Not to mention, I went into this weird deep hole where there's these videos on YouTube about the fact that Star Trek Discovery and then the J.J. Abrams movies are not canon, and the whole reason why behind the money behind it and all about the merchandising. It is I'm embarrassed that I cannot stop watching these videos and all the arguments back and forth about what is and what isn't canon in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah,
that's the argument I don't want any parts of.
Because how do you win that? I don't see
want
it.
any
Nobody's
parts of
winning that argument. It's going to go on forever.
So yeah, thank you both for coming on. Like I said in the beginning of the show, we are going to be doing a Abducted in Plain Sight review. We're going to be doing our Street Fighter vs. Mortal Kombat. We'll be back next week. I don't remember if I have a guest on or not next week. It might just be me, Devin, and Mike. At the end of the month, we'll be doing our Season 2 recap of The Gifted, which I can't wait to talk about. So make sure you subscribe to our show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast app. Leave us a 5-star review. And thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you later.